All right, welcome to the crawl space here at 3612 Idabel Lane. This is the fresh air ventilation video. And there's the system right there. This box right here on the wall behind me is where all the magic happens, okay? Now, if you've looked at the other videos in the series, you've heard about air tightness, you've heard about the water management details that we've put into this house to make that air tightness safe, you heard about the insulation, you may have learned about the conditioned crawl space as a system that we have down here, but now it's time to talk about this guy. So this is our ERV. That stands for Energy Recovery Ventilator, okay? This is the thing that is going to manage the air quality in the house. And it's really cool. I hope you get as excited about it as I do, although, I don't know, I'm pretty excited about this thing. But like I said, it's a really cool system. So there's a lot going on here, and I'm going to try to explain it in a way that makes sense. This is our ventilator, as I said, and it is going to pull fresh air in from outside. That fresh air coming from outside travels into the house via a duct that's connected to the, well, you can't see it in this frame, but it's connected to the return side of the heat and air system over here. From that point, it's distributed to all the rooms in the house. Great. Fresh air everywhere. Awesome. At the same time, it's going to be pulling stale air out of the house and exhausting it back to the outdoors. Now that's cool because it keeps the air pressure in the house balanced, right? Like we're not putting the house under suction, we're not putting the house under pressure, it's balanced so that we have really good control of the air movement in the house, where if it were under suction, we'd actually be pulling other air in from other places. If it were under pressure, we'd be pushing indoor air out through other places. With balanced pressure, we really minimize the amount of air that can travel across our air barrier. Now, what makes this especially cool is how it does all that. Now, I'm going to open this thing up and show you the guts because it's important to understand. Now, inside, and it is turned off right now, inside here is this core. This is the energy recovery core, okay? So if you check it out here, this is the incoming air coming into the building, and it's like twisted the other way because the way this thing had to mount, you know, the inside is over here, but the actual place where it's pulling from is over on the opposite side there. Anyway, this is the air coming in. Here's a filter. That's a MERV 8 filter. You can get a MERV 13 filter for these things, which I do recommend, which is incredible filtration. So it's pulling our fresh air in and filtering it. Now, this core is what gives this thing its real magic, okay? There are like a whole bunch of itty-bitty channels and tunnels through this side of the core and through that side of the core. And those tunnels allow the two air streams to cross each other without mixing with each other. Because obviously if they mixed, that would be a problem. That would defeat the whole purpose. Like we want the stale air gone, we want the fresh air in, we can't have those mixing. But what these channels do is send the two air streams past each other with a lot of surface area contact, which allows for some exchange to happen. So the stale air from the house is going to come in through this side, pass through the core going this way on its way out, fresh air coming in, pass through the core this way on its way to the inside of the building. And when it's inside the core, those two air streams are going to exchange a couple of things as they cross each other. One of those things is heat. We're going to be exchanging, I think it's something like 80% of the heat from one airstream to the other, which means that in the summertime, the heat in the outdoor air is being exchanged into the outgoing airstream and kicked right back out. Sweet. In the wintertime, the heat from indoors is being exchanged back into the incoming airstream so that we're recapturing most of that energy that we have put into that air for conditioning. The other thing that core is going to exchange is humidity. It's not as efficient on the humidity exchange side. I want to say it's in the like the 60s, like somewhere in the 60%, somewhere in there. So it's going to be exchanging most, but not all of the humidity. But that's still really great. And so on a day like today, when it's like 90 something degrees outside and it's super muggy, you know, if we were to just bring that air in raw, it would be really hot and it would be really humid. We'd be dumping a ton of moisture into our air conditioning system and just saying, deal with it. Well, we don't want to do that. So most of that humidity in that incoming airstream gets exchanged in this core and is kicked right back out into the outgoing airstream, which really lightens the load here on our heat and air system, which is just cool. Now, what I love about this is the control that it gives us over the indoor environment. We are filtering our incoming air, we're preconditioning our incoming air, and we can use these settings right here to adjust how much air we're moving in and out, as well as how often we're moving that air in and out. That gives us a lot of, like I said, control over the air that we're breathing indoors, which is really good. Huge, huge win for air quality inside. And it helps with our energy efficiency as well, because we're able to ventilate without losing the energy that we've put into our building. And then, of course, the air quality side of things, not only are we getting the fresh air, but we're like dealing with the humidity in that air as well. So you add it all up, and it's just a lot of benefit for the overall health of the indoor space, which I'm excited about. Now, you'll notice over here when I pointed the stale air extraction out, there's a duct system here that's kind of like hanging loose right now. In the crawl space video, I mentioned some ducts that were disconnected on purpose. That's this stuff. And we're kind of experimenting with a concept here, and so far it's working out really well. We talked about this being a conditioned crawl space, and the way that we're conditioning it right now is not by putting a vent off of the heat and air system into this space. It's actually by sucking house air through the crawl space using that thing. So that's, like I said, where the stale air extraction is on this ERV. That little port right there creates a lot of suction as it's drawing air to kick out to the outside. Well, the stale air extraction strategy on this house is like this. We're pulling house air out at 3 distinct locations. There are concealed ports in the floor of the house underneath the 2 bathroom vanities and underneath the trash pullout in the kitchen island. That's where we're drawing air out of, right? So the idea is that the air relationship in the home means that like the air is always flowing out of those locations down into this crawl space. That does a couple of different things for us. Number one, it conditions the crawl space because that's conditioned house air that's having to pass through the crawl space on the way back to this thing, which is what keeps things conditioned down here. And number two, by pulling air from those locations, that means air is always flowing out of them and away from the rest of the house, which means that if it works right, and I think it is, you shouldn't ever have to smell your kitchen trash or your bathrooms elsewhere in the house. I'm kind of proud of that. I think that's really cool. And I hope that you appreciate that as well. But that's why these ducts are disconnected, and that's the concept that we're going for in this home. Now, we will be putting some backdraft dampers on those ports after enough time goes by to where we feel confident in that concept. That way we are ensuring that air from down here doesn't get back up into the house when this thing's not running, because even though this is a clean and conditioned space, I just don't love the idea of crawl space air going up into the house. I'd rather have house air coming down in here. And so, while you may, like, let's say you pop your head in here one day when you're living in the house and this thing's running, you may smell some of those bathroom smells, you may smell that trash smell, but that means this thing is working, and who cares what the crawl space smells like? It's the crawl space. We know that that smelly air is also conditioned air that's going to keep this place fresh, and it's going to get evacuated using this thing here. So that's what we've got going on down here for the fresh air system on this house. And we hope you appreciate that. I hope you found that informative and interesting. And if you haven't already, check out the other videos in this series, and hope you like what you see. And thanks for watching.